met in an airport just 6 months ago when you were on your way to Florida. You were just a new minister back then. I think you entered your job maybe a couple of days earlier.
Right.
And even before, getting to know your office, you were on the flight to Florida for the Surfside disaster. Can you tell us, 6 months in perspective, what did you think?
Yes, this was 48 hours after the disaster here in Florida, when the Prime Minister called me and said, it's time to go, Nachman. And I said, where to? And he said, to Florida. You've just heard him speaking, and you understand how important world Jewry is to Naftali Bennett. And he said, this is your mission now, to go right away to Surfside and talk to the Jewish community there. We knew at the time that quite a number of Jews from the local Jewish community were in the building. It's a huge disaster. And also he said, and I totally agree with him, that this was an exact time where Israel finally can show that friendship is not only one way, but two-way. And it's not only that we need America to help us, but it's also a time for us to try and come and help America. Golan and his team, thank you. Golan and his team came with us on the same flight. We rushed away. We met the governor just for coffee before. It was quite strange because the Americans, Golan didn't tell that, they were not so sure that the Israelis have something to offer to them, and it was a little bit confusing. But after a few hours, Golan told me the chief of the firefighters on the spot told him, listen, we need you very much. Please stay and come tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And the Israeli played a major role, both on the location itself and with the families. It was quite a scene to see Israeli officers addressing the families in one of the buildings somewhere. The Consul General will remind me where exactly it was. We went to see them, and they were sitting with them, explaining them what happened and how. And I was looking at it from the outside, and I said, my goodness, the Israeli Defense Forces suddenly has a role in Florida. So this is it.
As the Minister of Diaspora, do you keep in touch with the Surfside community up until today? And do you keep in touch with, you can't really keep in touch with all Jewish communities around the world. So how do you...
I've been in touch with them for a short time, and I may visit with them this time because I came only for 48 hours. But yes, I'm trying to really to cover the whole world. Guys, there are 8 million Jews living out of the country, 6 of them in this country and 2 million all over the world. There are thousands of Jewish communities all around the globe. And so if I try to visit each one of them, it will take me probably some generations. So while we talk to them on the phone and on Zoom and all other ways, we try to keep them together. I can tell you from the deep of my heart, I don't see any more important for the Jewish people today and for the state of Israel, but keeping the Jewish people together, what we call peoplehood, amiut. That's what we have to do, to keep brothers and sisters together all around the globe, to share our feelings, to share our sentiments, to share our life with each other. Just 15 million Jews in the world, much smaller than we have been before the Second World War. And we all remember what happened afterwards.
Now, Minister Shai, the Jewish communities around the world, but also in the United States, have suffered unbelievable anti-Semitism in recent years. If you look at the events that took place in Pennsylvania and so on, what do you think is the role of the Israeli government in combating anti-Semitism against Jewish communities in the United States?
I'm sure you're all aware of the unexpected rise of anti-Semitism, the spike of anti-Semitism in the past few months, especially after the last military campaign in Gaza. This was a kind of a turning point in terms of anti-Semitism in my office, which is constantly monitoring the level of content, of anti-Semitic content on the social media, can really point out the point where it started. So we, on the one hand, try to figure out where it comes and from whom and how, and trying to take care of it, talking to the technology companies and address them about this phenomena. But at the same time, we are now building a whole apparatus within our ministry, and actually for the entire state of Israel. There's unacceptable that the state of Israel, the Jewish state has no official apparatus, official government authority dealing with how to combat anti-Semitism in the world. And this is a new mission for my office. It's a new mission for the government of Israel to try and look at that and see what we can do. And there's so much to do. I hope we can do it soon. The money is waiting for us. It's just we have to make the decision and go forward.
Now, you are a new minister, 6 months into the job.
I'm not that young, you know.
You're coming from the Labour Party, which is on the left-center side of the government, and you are sitting in a very unique and different government, maybe the most peculiar government in the history of the State of Israel.
The most diverse government.
And diverse. And with you, a prime minister coming from the other side of the political map. Can you tell us a bit about your, this political life where you are from different walks of life, but you get along?
I think there is a strong message.
Oh, do you get along?
Yeah, first of all, we are getting along very nicely with each other. Cabinet meetings are short, and we don't shout at each other. And we realize that 28 Jews, can you believe it, can sit together in one room and work together. You saw? Miracles happen. Yes. And although we came from the right and center right, and then center and center left, and also an Arab party, 8 parties together, we managed, A, to pass the budget, that we had no budget for 3 years. B, to pass quite a number of reforms, over 30 reforms, allocating money to new priorities for Israel, of bridging gaps within the Israeli society, between Jews and Arabs, between center and periphery, between men and women. The women are represented and give government more than any other government in the past. 9 female government ministers, 11 government director generals. One of them is my office, my ministry is sitting here with us, Tiona Koenig-Meir. But there are other 10. And women are making their way to the top of the state of Israel. And I'm very proud of that. The government itself is very diverse. We have an Arab minister, a Druze minister, a minister from Ethiopian origin, that she's not here now, but she will be with us tomorrow morning. A member of the gay community, a minister in a handicap. I mean, the entire spectrum of the Israeli society is now well represented within the government.
So one last question. We have to stick to the timetable, so you will have to answer shortly. With the new prime minister, how do you think, and you have such a long, lifelong perspective about U.S. and Israel relationship, how do you describe this current administration working with the new Israeli government who, again, it's fresh and new?
I think that we had to repair some damage that was done in the past. If I may openly tell you, there was things to correct. But currently, there is a bipartisan support to Israel. We enjoy both parties standing together next to Israel. You have seen it with the last budget, with the upcoming budget, with the defense and the assistance to Israel. America stands with us in any international fora, the UN, any other UN body. I think that they've never been better than they are now. I met some State Department officials the other day, and we shared our views where we stand, even vis-à-vis the Iran talks that my friend Gilad Ardan talked before, and it seems very similar. We believe that the Americans will not let Iran become a nuclear state. We truly believe that. And as Gilad wisely said, there are other options on the table, but hopefully we will not need to use them. We don't need to fight any more wars. I was born myself into a war, and I remember so many wars in my life. I don't need another one, believe me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure seeing you here.
תודה רבה.